Hello everyone, my name is Damon Mason and I want to welcome you to DM9 Productions. This is my second titled show, so to speak, that I'm promoting or that I'm producing. And this one is called Becoming a Fighting Wildcat. Guys, my first title was called Why I Left East St. John High School. It had 5 episodes, and I've been anxiously waiting to start my second project, Becoming a Fighting Wildcat. This story is about the high school, Destrehan High School in Destrehan, Louisiana, leaving East St. John High School, going to Destrehan High School, which is a story in itself. For you guys who have watched Why I Left East St. John High School, thank you for your time. Thank you for your support, especially you guys who have liked, but more so subscribe to my DM9 Productions channel here on YouTube. I greatly appreciate it. It's all about the growth. It's free. I really appreciate the support you guys have given me. But now it's titled number 2, Becoming a Fighting Wildcat. And for the people who know me, who know the story, who know my ups and downs, trials and tribulations, all my accomplishments in athletics. It all started by making that decision to leave one high school and going to another. But as I shared with people, it was not as easy as you thought it was, or as people might think it is. And like we say in society, people look at all the accomplishments, but they never know exactly what a person goes through before they become successful at whatever they do in this world. So guys, without further ado, let me start sharing my story of becoming a fighting wildcat. And this is episode 1, which is entitled The Foundation. Now, as I started at the end of Why I Left East St. John High School, I talked about that summer of 1986-87, playing baseball in St. John Parish, as in 8th grade. Went to the World Series, and during that summertime, I kind of had it backwards. It was more like before we went to go play in the World Series, and when we got back, it was time to go report. It was time to go. Actually, I had to went to Destrehan High School and met the coaching staff. And the first person I met, as I said in episode 5 of Why I Left East St. John, was Tim Rebo, who was the head baseball coach / secondary coach, who is now the head football coach at Nicholls State University in Houma, Louisiana. So what happened was, I already knew I was going to Destrehan High School. I already knew that I was going to transfer. I had to go to the courts. I had to get me a legal guardian. My cousin Jeff Patterson, who lived in Muntz, Louisiana, became my legal guardian. So all the steps that I had to put in place were put in place for me to become a fighting wildcat at Destrehan High School. Upon returning back from playing in the World Series at that time, the summer of 1980, like I say, 86, 87, in Pensacola, Florida. So, needless to say, as I said, we as an all-black team, we were the first. We went to the championship game, double elimination. We had to win one game to win the championship. We didn't do that for, some obvious reasons that I don't want to go into it right now. So coming back home, knowing that I was not going to East St. John High School with all the guys who I just played baseball with from the ages of 10 all the way to the present time of 14. But to my surprise, when I reported for football practice for the rest of that summer, come to find out there was two, I know my finger kind of big, there was 2 major things that took place that was a shock to me. I wanted to play linebacker. And the head coach, who I love to death, Chipper Simon, I can't call him Chipper, I call him Coach Simon, but Mr. Coach Chipper Simon at the time told me, well, because I had just returned, and at that particular time, I think they was already started practicing. They were past lifting weights, so they was actually practicing. He told me that I could not, the only position the best position I could play was either quarterback or free safety. And so he said, well, Damon, what do you want to play? I kept saying linebacker. He said, well, he gave him the scenario. He said, so between quarterback or free safety, which one you want to play? And I kept saying linebacker. And so he got more specific. He said, if you had a choice to play quarterback or free safety on defense, what would you play? So I picked defense. The second thing was probably the most heartening thing I heard. I don't want to say in my life, but at that time, it was the hardest thing for me to swallow was I thought I had taken all the proper steps to go to Destrehan High School in St. Charles Parish from St. John Parish. But evidently, there was still a factor that I didn't factor in, that I really didn't know about. Well, still, even though I had a legal guardian, I had a change of address and everything in the court system, I still was required to sit out for 1 year. And that was devastating to me. And I remember crying at that particular time, and I started second guessing myself. Should I come here? Because the reason why I wanted to go to Destrehan High School was to get a better opportunity to play baseball and play football. But needless to say, I can't remember exactly what went on. I decided to stay. I stuck it out, which is why I have entitled this episode "The Foundation," because the foundation was laid down for me as a freshman in 1987 at Destrehan High School. Not being an athlete, just being a typical, and I love forgive me for saying that, y'all, being a regular student. And I said not an athlete. I went to football practice every day, but I couldn't play. But I was required to be at practice every day, and I was fine with that to a certain extent. So, and that's just the beginning. So imagine me going to school. My mama always talked about first impression is the best impression. So I remember vividly going to school, has a nice starch button-up shirt, which I couldn't stand wearing button-up collared shirts, but I wore a button-up collared shirt. I had some nice khakis on, and I remember having on some penny loafers, yes, with the pennies in it. So my mama said, I want you, it's a new beginning. So set a first impression, the best impression. So I remember going to school for the first time, walking through the doors. And like I tell everybody, I'm not going to say I was all that, but when you're a new face in a new setting, a lot of people, a lot of females naturally, I stood out because they had never seen me before. And I'm not going to get into the female thing, girls thing. I'm not going to tell those type of stories. But I remember that. That was the first day. And, of course, I didn't know anyone. I lied. Nikhil Mitchell also went to school with me, but, and that's going to be for later stories. But anyway, I'm there. I have my Destrehan gear. Destrehan was so structured that we had a football duffel bags. We had ours, you had to have for PE, you had to have a PE shirt, the PE shorts. We had the practice uniform. We had everything. So I had all my football gear with me. I had my book bag on my backpack and everything. And so I was just a regular student, And so you go into football practice every day. And remember, guys, this is entitled The Foundation, so I'm gonna jump through a lot of hoops. So one of the things I found out that, how the expectation was there. And it was kind of it wasn't, I was going to say a cultural shock, but it wasn't. But one thing that stood out at that particular time, being in Ormond Boulevard, a good mixture between black and white. Of course, I heard a lot of negative things about blacks and white. I'm hearing things already at school about people being prejudiced. I'm hearing the young black boys trying to encourage me this way. I'm seeing the white kids, they in a group, and so it was no different than kind of how it is today, But I just wanted to play football. That's all. That was the only thing that's on my mind. And I find myself going to practice every day, and eventually I'm getting tired of going to practice. And I've shared this story many times. So one time I decided, what, Mama, I'm tired of going to practice every day, and I'm practicing hard because I'm trying to impress people. And I can't play, so why I keep going? So you know what? I don't want to go today, Mom. I don't want to go today. And so I caught myself staying home one day. Remember, this is entitled The Foundation. So I stayed home one day, and my mama said, okay. She let me stay home. And the phone rang that morning, and it was the head football coach. Not no assistant. It was the head football coach, Coach Simon. Damon, where you at? hey, coach, I'm not. I'm sick today, coach. I'm not feeling good. He said, well, okay, and I can't quote him verbatim, but basically the conversation was like, well, you know what? I understand that you're not feeling good today, but you are expected to be at football practice today and support your teammates. Now you can't practice, but we expect you to be at football practice today. So my mom looking at me, and my mouth was like, and so when I hung up the phone, she just started laughing at me. She was like, I don't know what she said, but I know it was positive because my mom loved Chipper Simon. She loved my high school because of the expectations that you set. So I found out fast, quick, in a hurry that there was no shortcuts. There was no cutting corners. Those coaches, and I'm talking about from the head coach all the way down to his assistants, they was going to hold you to a higher standard, a higher level of accountability. And I found out during the foundation stage of my freshman year what Destrehan Fighting Wildcats was all about. And that's just the beginning. Now, you talk about the football players, man. Of course, I've played baseball, like I say, in St. John Parish. And as I've said in the last title of Why I Left East St. John, the stigma that we had as young black boys coming out of St. John Parish. The young black boys in St. John Parish, they are very talented. They have all the athletic abilities, but they have piss poor attitudes. And for the most part, I keep saying that was true. And if I can't speak about nobody else, it was definitely true about me because I was the kid. I ain't hear nobody say this to none of my friends, but I was the one where they said it vividly. Damon, if you don't change your attitude, you're gonna end up either dead or in jail. And when you get to high school, the white coaches will not put up with a young black boy's attitude like yours. See, when you say dead or in jail, we was no troublemakers. But I had a quick temper. I was a sore loser. I was called a crybaby, which I was a crybaby because I cried when I got mad and I cried when I got lost. When I got mad and cried, I wanted to fight. You know what I'm saying? So you cannot live in a world like this here. And based on how the world was at that time, in the high school level, people was not going to tolerate that. And why? They didn't have to tolerate that. So anyway, that was the stigma being a young black boy from St. John Parish. So I'm seeing the young black boys in St. Charles Parish. Talented. But they done brought into the system, which we call the Fighting Wildcat way of doing things. Everything is about team, team, team. And I'm going to share some stories. I don't want to be on here too long for this first episode. So this is more about the football right now. So there was everything was baked, everything was structured. You talking about you go to and I'm gonna take y'all through as much as I can remember. When you leave the high school through the gymnasium, you have to walk a good little distance. It's not no mile or nothing, but you walk a good little distance separation from the high school to the football field house. There was one tree where our head coach always stood, and if he couldn't stand there, he made sure another coach was there. But from the back of the gym to the school, by this distance, and he was standing by this one tree. He had one tree around a practice field, and he said he cut down all the trees because he didn't want no shade. He didn't want us to hide in shade. But he stood by that tree, so when a bell rang to let school out, so I'm gonna give you an example. If the bell rang at 3 o'clock, let's say at 3:15. 3 o'clock means school was over with, all right? So you had roughly 15 minutes to get to your locker and get to your bus, and the bell will ring, the second bell will ring to tell the buses they can go. Well, when that second bell ring and the buses left, all football players, you better have your butt past this tree. So if you had your little girlfriends or whatever you was doing, you had 15 minutes to get from point A to point B, and that was building accountability. It was structured like that every day, every day, every day. And then when you go to the locker room, we had 2 doors in our locker room. There was one way in and one way out. Meaning you cannot come in the entrance door and then try to get up. No, we were structured. We were disciplined. We did everything by book. If you came in this door, you cannot come out. You have to go out the other door. You had to use the door. You cannot walk on the grass. I lied, you walked on the grass. You cannot walk If you was late, don't walk to the locker room. You better be running. You already late, so don't make it worse. When he look, or any coach is looking, you better be running to the locker room. It's called having a sense of urgency. So, man, and I can't give y'all everything for the sake of time. But remember, this is called the foundation. Now, what I failed to say, now I love sharing this one here because it's about one of my brothers, John Emery Sr., I should say. Congratulations to his son who's going to LSU, John Emery Jr. He's going to be an awesome kid. But my first day at practice, my first day in pads in practice, they sent me with the freshmen. Now, I'm new. I don't know what's going on. So they sent me to practice with all the freshman players on the baseball field. And the first hit I made was John Emery, who's about 6'2". At that time, I say about 200. And we ran the wing T, which is a running system. I hit John so hard and flipped him. The coaches looked at me and they pointed at me and said, "You go over there. Go over there and stay over there." Now, that's all they told me. I thought I did something wrong. So again, I'm contemplating, man, I can't play as a freshman. I can't even play the freshman football. I can't do nothing. I just have to come to practice and practice. So now I can't even practice with the freshmen because I hit John and flipped him, but they didn't tell me, they just told me go over there with the varsity. Well, I'm at the varsity, so I can't practice because that's varsity. So I'm on the sideline just kind of like dumbfounded, And so basically what I found out years and years later was that they were so impressed with my, hitting, tackling, and whatnot, that I was not even allowed to practice with the freshmen. I stayed with the varsity, and I practiced every day on the scout team to prepare the varsity for Friday nights. And every week when we played naturally we played a specific team, I was always that team's best player. So they would find that jersey, and the one that stood out the most, it was either John Curtis. I was always Randy Brown. So they'll have number 32, and they'll give me number 32 on offense on scout team. I was Randy Brown, so people it kill me. And when we played Lutcher, at that time it was my boy Will Urshan, who played quarterback. So I didn't do quarterback, but Dale Branch. And Dale was number 4. So whenever we played a team, I was always their team best player. And so I had fun. I tried my best. I wanted to impress the coaches, and I remember just going full speed every day. And especially when you did something good on the scout team, coach would say, like, if you block a punt, that's when Yoo-Hoo first came out. If you block a punt, you get a free Yoo-Hoo and a Snicker. Oh, shit, well, okay. Block the punt. Who was that? Mason, where you came from? Right here, coach. Do it again. All right. Bow, block the punt. So now I got once again, I'm a freshman. This is the foundation. So I set a foundation for myself, not knowing. I just wanted to play football. And if I'm on a football field, I'm going to give you my best, even if I can't play on Friday nights. And I remember the guys, the seniors and juniors, but most of the seniors was getting mad at me because I guess I was making them look bad. But I didn't care. I wanted to impress the coaches, and I wanted to show what I could do. Now I know that that's what I teach young boys to do. The best way to impress a coach is to do it on a scout team. So you can earn your right. And I made a name for myself for the following year, which is another episode. But I remember, and Coach Simon, I know he's going to see this here, but he don't remember this one. But it got to a point where every day the guys tried to hurt me. And I knew they was trying to hurt me, but I'm not going to allow you to hurt me. You know what I'm saying? You just can't. You're just not going to just hurt Damon Mason. That's just wasn't possible. But because I got tired, I was human, and I got frustrated at times. And so I remember faking. Coach Simon don't know this here. Let's see if you remember this here, though. But I remember faking like somebody had hurt me. It was a day we was preparing for a game, and the closer we got to the game, we would take off. We do shells. We would take off our shoulder pads and pants, and we'd be shorts and helmets, or maybe shorts and the shoulder pads. But we didn't have on pants. I remember somebody trying to block me, and I acted like they hurted me. And I remember Coach Simon coming to me, and I remember him saying something in my ear, man, that I never forgot. It was naturally, because I'm 45 years old. I remember Coach Simon telling me, he said, "Son, I wish I had 10 more just like you. I wish you could play right now as a freshman, but I wish I had 10 more just like you." And he don't know how much that did for me. that my head coach, Coach Rebo did used to do the same thing. The other coaches would tell me, but the head coach took the time to stop practice to come check on me. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm accustomed to coaches saying if a player get hurt, well, we're gonna move it on down and let the trainers deal with them. But the head coach stopped what he was doing to come check on me and to whisper in my ear, son, I wish I had 10 more just like you. I never forgot that. So guys, those are some of the things that I experienced in this first year on the football field. Now, the school system was something totally different. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to be too long. I'm going to end the foundation. But because I was a regular student, I was not the only kid from St. John Parish there. As I said, Nikhil Mitchell he went to St. John of Arc. So he was not going to East St. John regardless. But I think when his mom, because we all went to church together, his mom found out that I was going to Destrehan. One thing led to another. He ended up coming to Destrehan. So he was there. And down the line, we had my cousin, my big cousin, who I grew up with, Vance Jones. We had Derek Dewey, and Hubbard. I can't remember Hubbard's name, but we had Dedrick August. So we had a handful of guys, and it was an experience. And actually, you know what? I might save that for episode 2. The foundation. I'm gonna change the title for episode 2, but this foundation is based around football. Episode 2 is gonna be based on what took place in the school building, in the school system, because what happened on the football field is completely different than what took place in the school building. You know, but the foundation for football was laid down. And it was all about team. It was all about team. We used to take our water break. We had set water break. That was once upon a time when you could do that. We can't do it no more. We had set water break. There was a time to get water breaks. You could not get water until a certain time. And we were so structured that we had a cup that you had to be responsible to put your cup on top of your locker. Now, if your cup was not on top of your locker, you couldn't get water. But naturally, you got water, but they was going to make you sweat about it. Oh, man, I forgot my cup. So the first thing you did was you took care of your responsibilities. You made sure you had everything in place so you can give your best effort, not just on the practice field, but in the locker room. It's about being responsible. Because, see, these little things made a difference when you got into a tough game. All right, and that's what I preach. That's the foundation that I got. You know, so, and then when it was time for water break, we didn't just take water breaks. We always ended with special teams. And coach might say something like, well, if Jose or George, you know, there was 2 brothers. George was the oldest, and then when George graduated, it was Jose. If Jose or George missed or make the field goal, you have either you have water break or you don't have water break. So what coach was doing, he was building our teamwork concept. So it was no, oh man, it was like everybody was cheering, come on, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. So what I'm saying is that foundation was about teaching us how to encourage someone. Instead of saying, oh man, you can't, oh man, I can't get no water because I gotta depend on him. No, we're gonna cheer him on. And I'm gonna end the foundation with this here. So these are things that took place, but the foundation, I brought into the foundation as a Fighting Wildcat that same year when we played on the North Shore. And I had a run-in with a coach, an opposing team's coach. Coach told me something, white guy told me something, I cussed him out. No lie, I cussed him out. That coach told the ref. The ref called my coach. Well, told my coach, Coach Simon, called me from the sideline because I had to be there every football game. I couldn't play. I wore a jersey. I was a ball boy, if you can believe it or not. And he laid into me, no curse word or nothing like that, and he would just let me have it. And all I could remember him saying was blah, 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 blah. And the only reason why I heard blah, 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 because I remember those youth coaches back in St. John Parish telling me, Damon, them white coaches will not put up with a young black boy's attitude like yours. So I done cussed out the opposing team's coach for telling me something because I was celebrating because we scored a touchdown. But he told me something, I cussed him out. Coach Simon let me have it. But then I heard him say, take off that jersey. Go back, you know, so I wasn't going to take off the jersey because all I had on was the jersey. But this is what he did that changed my life, especially throughout high school. But it changed my life. In a Friday night football game, varsity football game, the head coach Kim sat down on the bench, put his arms around me, and told me something like this here. Damon, when you put that jersey on, you represent the team. You represent the school. You represent your family. You represent everything we stand for. He said, we don't do things like that here. It's all about the team. So for the first time in my life, I started to understand what team was all about. I had more people told me about team, but it was not until I had that run-in with a complete stranger who happened to be a white man, where people had to told me and prepared me, the best they could, that how society was. So when it happened, I had two choices to make. My head coach fussing at me, was I gonna sit there and do what the young black boy was known for doing? Man, you can't tell me nothing. You ain't my daddy. A white man telling me something. Or do what I chose to do. See, it's about choices. So what I chose to do was look at my coach in his eyes, and I just cried while he was talking to me. But when he came, sat down, and put his arms around me and talked to me, he made me understand. I didn't like it because I was still hurt, but I heard him. And from that point on, I became a fighting Wildcat. I understood what it meant to be a fighting Wildcat. And as I proudly tell people, I became a black version of a white Chipper Simon. I became an enforcer. I didn't want to do nothing to make Coach Simon have to fuss at me or come down on me. Now, I still had my little run-ins with people because I was a kid. I clowned a little bit, but that's why we had opportunities to make it up. And that's going to be a story for another day as well. But guys, that's how I became a fighting Wildcat. That's when I became a fighting Wildcat. That's when I brought into the fighting Wildcat ways of doing things, and why to this day, until the day I die, I will always take pride in calling myself a fighting Wildcat who graduated from Desperate High School. So guys, thank you for taking time and watching episode 1, The Foundation. Episode 2, I will be sharing it as soon as possible. But you guys, as always, take care and God bless. And until next time, peace.